On Monday here on NFL Live, the league's QB rankings have dropped. They still have Patrick Mahomes at the top. There were some major surprises. We'll get into all of it. From the best QBs in the game to rookies just trying to make the list, we get live reports from across NFL Nation on the 2025 class of quarterbacks. And who's the king of the South? The final installment of the Schefter series focuses in on the quarterback situations around the AFC South. And welcome to our humble abode. Adam Schefter's on the phone. Lindsey Theory's right there. We got a few NFL Nation reporters coming through. D Wood in the building as well. You know, for a Monday in July, business is booming. And in truth, in some ways, the offseason's already over. We've got a training camp open for rookies. Chargers rookies were the first to report this summer, arriving in Southern California over the weekend with one major absence, second-round pick wide receiver Tre Harris. Lindsey, you're based in Southern California. What are the vibes there entering year 2 of the Harbaugh regime?
You know, it's really interesting because Jim Harbaugh came in with a bang. Everybody in LA was so excited to have him, still is, but it was a really disappointing Justin Herbert still at quarterback.
And we mentioned it off the top, no Tre Harris. Adam, welcome to the program. In LA thus far, which isn't really news. A lot of these second-round picks are unsigned. What do we know about Harris' situation as the Chargers rookies have already reported?
Well, Phil, 30 of the 32 second-round draft picks have not signed. Obviously, every second-round draft pick wants what Jayden Higgins got in Houston, what the Browns linebacker got. Also, they're looking for guaranteed money of second-round draft picks. And teams and second-round draft picks currently are in disputes over how much money, guaranteed money, a second-round draft pick can get. So this Tre Harris holdout is nothing unusual.
Well, we know, Adam, you mentioned it, not alone. 30 of 32 remain unsigned. This is going to be a story across the NFL in the coming weeks. When Harris does report to camp, he's got a pretty good QB waiting for him there. Over the last 2 years, Justin Herbert has posted the second-best touchdown-to-interception ratio of any QB. We forget because of the 4 picks in the wild card loss. The only guy on this list better than Herbert, 4.3 touchdown to picks, Lamar Jackson, who won an MVP in that span, and you could make a cogent argument he deserves another. Damien Woody, you've been waiting patiently. You heard Lindsey talk about year 2 under the Harbaugh regime for the Bolts. What do you think is kind of the barometer for a good season this season in LA?
Yeah, listen, I think they're one of those 3 teams in the AFC West that I expect to contend for the playoffs, along with Denver and the Kansas City Chiefs. We know what Jim Harbaugh wants to do. He wants to establish the line of scrimmage, play with a level of physicality, obviously running the football. But they have a Ferrari at the quarterback position in Justin Herbert. I've said many a time, if you're drawing a quarterback, in the lab, it would be a guy like Justin Herbert. And so when you look at the weapons that he has around him, obviously it started with Ladd McConkey, who had such an outstanding rookie season. He has the speed, the route running ability. You got Quentin Johnston, the former number one pick, who's kind of been a disappointment over there. Obviously, Mike Williams is coming back, and Adam touched upon Tre Harris, the big play wide receiver out of Ole Miss. I think the question mark is how much juice can they get? How much juice can they get out of this passing game? Because when you're talking about the AFC as a totality, you're going to need explosive plays. You're going to need to score points in bunches in order to try to separate yourself and be one of those contenders in the AFC.
Damian brings up the passing game that they have to have, and they do. But this team also is always going to be about running the football. And it's going to be a new backfield for the Chargers this year, led by the first-round draft pick, Omarion Hampton. They signed Najee Harris. It'll be interesting to see if he's going to miss any time at all with the superficial eye injury that he sustained on July 4th in a fireworks accident. So there are some running backs there, new faces in the backfield, and you know that Jim Harbaugh always is going to look to pound the rock.
Last season obviously was a disappointment for this Chargers offense, but Greg Roman did point out Justin Herbert now, this is only the second season in his 6-year career that he's had the same offensive coordinator for consecutive seasons. Going into this point of training camp, he is much further ahead than he was a year ago. They've made some adjustments about how they run their installs and how they do things. So going forward, Roman says that Herbert could basically run practice himself. That's a lot different than what it was a year ago when he was trying to learn yet another new scheme. So watch for Justin Herbert to be ahead, but it's going to come down to the run game.
Yeah, and Herbert missed time last summer as they were installing the offense with the injury as well. So he's healthier. and he's more familiar with the offense.
And more weapons outside, in addition to those we've named. Keandre Lambert-Smith also joins Ladd McConkey entering year 2. All he did was break the franchise record for receiving yards and catches, then put up 197 and a touchdown in that wild card loss to Houston. But the guy throwing the ball remains less certain. In Cleveland, the Browns traded for Kenny Pickett, then signed Joe Burrow, then traded all over the draft, drafted 2 more QBs. Kevin Stefanski was asked how he planned to split reps across that crowded QB room.
Obviously, there's that old saying, you treat everybody fairly, but not the same. It's related to that. You know that there's guys that need to get X number of reps. There's guys that don't. I mean, Joe is, 40 years old, has seen a lot of football, has played a lot of football. He does not need as many reps as the young guys do. So tried to be smart where we can still give Joe an opportunity to get better, an opportunity to be evaluated, while also maybe shifting a few of those reps to the younger guys, and then mixing it up throughout. We had multiple guys in there at multiple spots, and that's kind of the way we've looked at doing business here the last 3 weeks with 9 practices where we just want to see a lot of these guys in a bunch of different situations.
That is a voice that has become very familiar to Daniel Oyefusi, our Browns team reporter, here with us. And Daniel, we got 4 quarterbacks currently healthy on this roster. Any sense what the plan is? 4 quarterbacks once camp opens next week in Berea?
Yeah, well, it was a fascinating spring when you have 4 quarterbacks out there who are vying to be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And I think it was interesting to hear what Kevin Stefanski said about the spring, where it was more of a teaching and an installation process. But he acknowledged that that's going to change once we get into the summer. We're looking to evaluate this crop of quarterbacks. And obviously, as you said before, they broke up the reps to get the rookies a lot of reps when we talk about Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. But I think that as we get closer to the start of the season, you have to look at the vets when Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett is maybe being ahead of the crop. And I think that we're going to see that a little bit. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders has been at the center of this. We saw a trend where he didn't get a lot of first-team reps. Does that change? He impressed with his progression, with his accuracy. They love what he's doing in the building. But can he crack that group and get to the first team?
It's interesting, Daniel, because I think you've got the race for the starting job, and then you've got the race to see who even makes the roster. There are 4 quarterbacks, and it's hard to imagine that the Browns are going to keep 4 quarterbacks on their opening day roster. And if they're not keeping all the quarterbacks, you would think that they're going to keep both the draft picks, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, unless one of them falters terribly. So now we're down to, okay, who sticks? Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett? And whoever does stick probably is the favorite to win the starting job, and whoever doesn't stick could be traded to another team, could be released. We'll see how it all plays out. But it's really interesting to see. This might be the most interesting position battle of any team anywhere in the league as training camp goes. I'm curious, Daniel, did any quarterback jump out to you during the spring? Just your opinion.
My opinion, Shedeur Sanders really did stand out. Again, all of those skills that we talked about pre-draft, the poise, the accuracy from the pocket, we saw that, but the caveat was it was with the second-team offense and against the second-team defense. So that's why I'm really interested to see, can he crack that rotation and get some reps with Myles Garrett pass rushing against him in those summer practices,
A little different.
The other interesting thing about the Brown situation is you have, Joe Flacco. I'm not going to call it how old he is, but then you have these really young guys. This last week I was in Kansas City talking with Patrick Mahomes, and he was asked, what led to so much of your success here? And among all the other intangibles that obviously Patrick Mahomes has, but he talked about the situation that he came into. When he came in, it was a great situation in Kansas City. Andy Reid's the head coach, and then they were in no rush to start him, no rush to throw him out there. He sat behind Alex Smith, soaked up everything from what goes on in the facility to how to lead a team to how to properly take an install and then go put it out on the field. So whatever happens in Cleveland, you have 2 rookies who have Joe Flacco to look to. So depending on what kind of rush they're in, there might not be a rush to put either one of those young guys out.
And whatever happens in Cleveland, a Jersey guy is going to have a sewing machine ready. It looks like we're going to add at least one more name to the list. Let's get D-Wood back in here. Damian, if I were to poll the veterans in this Browns locker room, looking ahead at a menacing AFC North, what do you think they would want to see happen at QB heading into week 1?
Who's going to give us the best chance to win? Veterans don't care about 2026 and beyond. All vets care about is who's going to give us the best chance to win in this moment, in this season. And so if you're asking the veterans, they have a keen eye. They're looking at all these guys and the reps they're taking in practice, okay, because that's where everything is decided. And I think if you're Kevin Stefanski, the one thing you have to do, the one thing you can't do, you're not going to fool the players because we see everything. We see it all. And so you got to go out there and you got to announce at the end of the process, the guy that's going to give you the best chance to succeed. If that's a rookie, then so be it. If it's the 40-year-old veteran in Joe Flacco, then so be it. But vets just care about winning football games. That's it.
Well, whoever gets that QB1 spot, there are going to be some early tests on the schedule. Here's the first 5 weeks for Cleveland. Bengals, Ravens, Packers, Lions, Vikings. That's 4 playoff teams. Plus Cincy. We did have some legal news break over the weekend in regards to the Browns and rookie running back Quinshon Judkins. Daniel, what more can you tell us about that situation?
Yeah, police in Fort Lauderdale said Quinshon Judkins, the Browns' second-round pick, was arrested